Hi everyone, welcome. As you come in, just the same kind of instructions that I gave at the beginning of my last webinar. Please make sure that you continue to keep your video off and your audio on mute. That'd be great. It'll just help to reduce the bandwidth that we're using for this meeting at the moment. So as you're coming in, just keeping your video off and keeping yourself on mute. Please say hello to everyone in the chat. If you don't know how to find the chat, just go down to the bottom of the screen and you'll see a little chat button that you can click on. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer before we actually start because there's always a few people that come and click the button right on 1 o'clock or straight afterwards. So just make sure I let them all in from the waiting room. But thank you so much for giving up another hour of your time to join me today. I can already see lots of people joining there in the chat and saying hello, which is great. No worries, Meninda. I'm glad you asked a question. It was good. Beautiful. More people joining us. It's great. I'm very glad you made it today. Is it Jeannie or Jenny? You'll have to correct me at the end of the webinar to make sure I actually pronounce your name correctly. Oh, hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Hey Brad, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. And yes, Brad, so your question there, if you're a member of my PD site, so once I do this webinar, so I record it as we go, and then I post that recording up on my site. It'll be available to the end of this week just for free for anyone to access. And then after that time, all the webinars will get put into the members area, so that if you are already a member, Brad, sorry, if you're already a member, you'll be able to just access it. I'll just essentially stick them in as a short course with the 3 videos for you to work your way through and still get your NESA hours if you need it that way, or even if you just want to go back through and have a look at them. Okay, just admit some of these last few people. Okay, well, welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you have joined me. I love doing this. I love sharing what I know and what I do. So if you don't know who I am yet, I'm Dan. I am the founder of Teachers PD. I am also, if you're a PE teacher, I'm the founder of pdhpd.net. And I am also the deputy principal at Cedar College, which is a school that partners with Google in terms of what we use. We use all G Suite products and Chromebooks and stuff, and I'm a certified Google innovator, etc., Google trainer. But today I want to kind of skip through most of that, to be honest, and get stuck into what I'm going to be teaching you today. So today we're going to run through, I'm going to show you just a few things about forms, because I actually do have an entire video. I've done a previous whole 1-hour webinar on using forms because there's so much to forms. And it's also available in my membership area in the G Suite for Education course. So not in the introduction, that course that's free, but in the second course. Now, I did do a promo recently where if you signed up early enough, you actually get both of those courses. But yeah, so there's already a video there, or I actually think that video is also available on my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to show you a couple of things in Google Forms before we move on. We're then going to have a look at Screencastify, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Canva as well, because Canva has decided to give away their pro features to educators at the moment. So really want to encourage you to take advantage of that. I'm going to give you some specific instructions for students, and really this is mostly me giving you a cheat sheet that you can give to your students about how they submit their tasks, because I've had a few of you tell me that your students are getting lost and seem to not be submitting their tasks in Google Classroom and instead of emailing them to you. And so I've created this cheat sheet that basically just walks them through how they can submit tasks to you in Google Classroom. I'm also going to talk to you a bit about differentiating your learning for remote teaching. And that will come towards the end. If we have time, I'll also have a quick look at classroom rubrics again. Someone's asked for more information on those, and so I might actually walk you through creating one of those from scratch. So that's how we're going to go. And I'm glad that you guys already think that Canva is brilliant, but we're going to come to that in just a minute. So let me share my screen and we'll be off and running. Okay, so I'll come back to sharing these links with you in a moment. This is how I make sure that all my links, I don't get lost as we go through this. So let's start with a Google form. So create your Google form, just click the Start New Form, and you'll get an untitled form. Obviously, you want to make sure your form has a title. So make sure I type in the title, give it a test, give it a description. Now, the description is really just about what the form is and what you're going to be using it for. If you're going to be collecting email address and stuff, for example, etc., you might want to just mention that in here as well. You then have to ask a few questions. So, how old are you? Doesn't matter what your questions are. You'll notice as you do it, so how old are you could be a multiple choice. So you could put in multiple choice here, 12, 15, 20, okay? You can make this whatever you like. You'll notice here you can also quite easily add images and stuff as part of the multiple choice, or I can switch it out to multiple choice. And it's one of the features in Google Forms. I know I've already started talking really fast. It's one of my bugbears that I have. I've got to focus on slowing down. But if I try and make this more of an open-ended question, like why is, I don't know, why is sand yellow or white or something? And hopefully that'll automatically change for me. Sometimes it does this and sometimes it doesn't, and I find it a bit funny. Maybe, here we go. If I change it to tell me why, there we go. So you see how that automatically changed here on the right to a short answer, okay? So tell me why you love teachers, PD. And that's then turned to a paragraph, right? Because I've made it not just a short thing because I've included why, but it's become this longer thing in there. And so it automatically does this for you, and that's really good. Now, the specific question that I got asked around for this was, how do you go about getting some audio into a Google form? Now, the reality is that technically you can't just put audio straight into a Google form. So you'll see here on the right, I can put stuff in. I can put in images. I can put in a new section. I can put text in and that kind of stuff. The way to get around it is basically to add a video. So you click add a video and then you go to a YouTube URL. Now, in order for your audio to be what you're going to stick into this question or into a section, what you first want to do is essentially record an audio. And so what I might do, for example, is I might go to, this I'm going to come to later, this tic-tac-toe, but I might go here and do a screen recording using Screencastify or something that just records me talking. And normally I might use maybe the script of what I'm actually going to say and just make a video of the words as you read them or as you give them to your kids. Save that video, upload it into your school account YouTube channel. So when you go to YouTube if you're logged into Chrome with your school account, you can create your own channel and you can limit that channel to just the people that you share it with or just to your domain. And so you can then put videos up there that are unlisted or that are private. And then you are going to post those videos into the Google form. So if I go here, I'm going to search just for something that's maybe mine. Let's go to energy systems. For some reason, I always do this. Okay, and so this is one of my videos that I've posted up previously. And so I just select it and then it will embed it into the question. Okay, and so I can then title the video and that's going to be in there. And so this question then is a video and I'm going to put a question underneath it. So, and then you can also edit in terms of where it sits. I can change the front picture, etc. But this is the video. So the students can just click play and then I'm just going to add questions straight underneath it. So, and often I use these as sections, to be honest, so that I can then even put the section on another page. So I might say the next 3 questions relate to this video, or to the audio if it's just audio. And that's your way around the fact that you can't just put audio straight into a Google form. Now, some other things that people have asked me to make sure I address when looking at Google Forms comes really with the settings. So up here, there's add-ons. I think that's fairly the same as pretty much every other Google thing in terms of add-ons. You can customize the theme. This is something that people may not know. You can change the color, and the whole form will change color according to how your color that you pick here. But you can also just choose an image and upload it. So if I chose an image, for example, and I find the one that I uploaded earlier for your feedback, here we go, feedback, open that one. I like it when the internet's at a decent speed. There we go. So that, then click done, and that'll become my header. And so my whole page now, see how the colors have just automatically changed, and I can click here, my theme color. So my theme color I want to match, so that's this one. Now it matches, and that's nice in terms of how it appears. Other settings for you that I think I've been asked about. So one is how to add collaborators. So down here, you add a collaborator. Now, if you want someone to be able to make a copy of your Google Doc, they basically need to be entered here as having editing permissions, because that's really the only way that you can make them have access to your form. That doesn't allow you to do view only with your form. You can change here the private aspect here, so anyone with the link now can view, but that's a bigger, more broad setting. So if I click save there, now anyone can come and actually have a look at the data that this form collects, etc. And so as a school, if you're doing this with your students, you don't really want that to be on, because you don't want other people to be able to come and access your data. So that seems to be taking a long time to save, which hopefully won't take us too long, because I want to then show you the next thing. I might be able to show you the next thing while it's doing it. All right, there we go, it's done. So let's move away from there, scroll down here. I've got all these things that are popping up. So I'm just going to need to get rid of this pop up. There we go. All right. So the next thing someone asked me is, how do I get someone to make a copy of this? So there's two ways to make a copy. So once they have access, if you've given them that editing access and added their email, they can just go to this bit and they go make a copy. And that's really easy. You click there, then they can move it. And this is the thing that people get wrong quite often, is they make a copy in the original folder, not in their drive. And that becomes an issue, because if you are in a shared drive, for example, and you can only view things in that folder, if you make a copy into that folder, you can only view stuff in there and you will still not have access to edit it. So you need to make sure that you move it. So just click that and move it into, and yeah, my drive is the correct space. But once you click there, this will load up. I need to reduce my bandwidth here. And you can actually navigate back and forth through your folders. That seems to not just want to work with me at the moment. Another way that you can get people to make a copy, and this works for all Google documents. So it works for your basic doc, it works for your forms, it works for your slides, and it's going to work for your Google Sheets, is you just change this last bit here where it says edit. I'm going to delete that. If I write copy and then press enter, you get this force copy. And so now they click this and they'll get their own copy of that form. Okay, so that's a nice, easy way to make a copy while they're in Google Forms. Now, if they know this, they can then just go to edit, and then they'll be able to go back and see the form, because that's all that it's changed. But that's just a simple way to get, so for people to be able to make copies of your form. I think that's pretty much everything that people ask me about forms. I will send you, when I send you the email following up from this, I will make sure that I give you a link to the full video that walks you through Google Forms. Now here, one thing that people often forget, this is probably the thing that I do the worst, is this bit here, restricting only to people within my organization. Now that's fine if I'm just using it within my school, but if I want this survey to go beyond my school, I need to make sure I unclick that so other people can actually respond, and make sure you fill around with this editing that's in here. All right, I'm going to click close there. I'm going to stop sharing and go back into my chat here so I can answer any questions that are going in. All right, so my voice is lagging and disappearing, so we don't understand you. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. All right. Oh, okay. Is it better when I'm not sharing my screen? All right, so it was when I'm showing my screen that I was having issues. What I might try doing is I'll actually switch off my camera just before I go to sharing the screen, and hopefully that works. The recording will still work because it will record stuff from this end. It's not going to record stuff at that end. So the bits that you missed, hopefully, will all come through again. And if I have time, I'll go back to what I was talking about with Google Forms. All right, so I'm so sorry that that's what's happened. I'm going to go back to sharing, and I'm going to talk about Screencastify now, and hopefully this all will work for you. And for those of you who are just joining, I'm so sorry, you just missed a bit where all of our sound was kind of playing up anyway, but it'll be recorded well for you when I send you that back. I'll send you that hopefully later today. All right, so I'm going to turn my video off and launch my screen share. So stop video and share my screen. So we just went through this, and I'm sorry that that didn't quite work for those of you who were playing along at home. Now, Screencastify is up here in the top right. So I'm going to click on my Screencastify. Now, this is an extension for Google Chrome. So if you don't know how to find it, you can just Google Screencastify and it'll navigate you there, but you want to basically get it from the Chrome Web Store. Now, I'm not going to turn on my webcam because we're having issues already with video, and also because Zoom wants access to it. If I do that, it'll fiddle around with things. But I'm just going to choose my browser tab, right, which means it's only going to video my Google form here. Okay, and I just do that. You notice you can also just do webcam. This is a free account, so I'm limited to 5 minutes, but I'm going to click record and I'm going to show you what comes up with this because I actually think Screencastify is really cool. So click record. And so here we go. I've got 3-second countdown. Now it's recording. Straight away, I want to point out down the left-hand side here, I can pause my recording. Okay, and once I pause the recording, it's not taking up my 5 minutes. And so if I need to move around or anything, that's fine. I can do that. I can pause and go again. Okay, I'm going to click go again. Now down here, you'll also notice that I have a pen. So I can click this, and then as I am talking to my students, I can circle things on the screen for them. Okay, or I could maybe even, if I've got a touch screen, I might be able to write on the screen. And that's a really nice feature that's in there. There's also a feature to rub all that out. So once you've been doing it, click down the bottom right and just click on what you want to get rid of, and it will disappear. Okay, so just rubbing all that out. The other feature that pops up just above here, and I can see that things are lagging again with my internet, so I apologize if sound and everything is getting bad here. Right, let's wipe the screen clear. If I go to my pointer, it comes up with these 3 options. Now, these 3 options are really cool. So on the left here, I can do focus mode, which means that it's going to darken the screen and it's just going to follow using the light that follows my pointer in the video. If I go back down here, I can turn that off. And instead, when I click now, it'll actually where you've clicked in the video. Now I'm going to stop this. So you go press pause and then stop, and that finishes all that off. So that will then bring you into here. So untitled form, Google Forms. So it's labeled it according to my Google Form tab. So I can then call this anything I like. You can trim it down here. I want to click out of this. So let's just go. So you can see here it's saving automatically to Drive. And that's what you want. That's what I think is really good about this. So it's going to save automatically into my Google Drive where I have unlimited storage. I can share from here straight into Google Classroom. I can share and publish it straight onto YouTube if I want to. So if I'm going to make, for example, that audio that I want in my Google form, then that's what I'm going to click. I'm going to publish it there, and then once it's there, I can embed it into my Google form. All right, I'm going to close this because I can see it's already eating up my data, but this stream. I'm going to stop sharing and see if, whoops, cancel that. All right, I need to stop sharing and go back into your questions. Hopefully things have been a bit better. I did see voice is distorted again. All right. Hopefully this doesn't happen to me all day. All right. I will try to continue here, and I'm sorry that my bandwidth today doesn't seem to be handling what we're doing, but let's go again. So I'm going to launch my screen again, and I'm going to show you, well, you know what, let me just share. I'll turn my video back on so I realize that's still off. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to share a few things into the chat here. Okay, I'm going to share the cheat sheet that I made for your students. So if I give you this link here, Google Drive cheat sheet, copy that. All right, so there is the link in the chat there for the cheat sheet. I'm so bummed that this is not working at the moment in terms of our video and the sound quality that's coming through to you. I hate when things don't work well. This is the first time too in the 3 that it hasn't worked well, but I'm gonna have to try and press on, I think, because I think if I try and close and relaunch the meeting, it might be an issue. You know what, I wonder if I could leave the meeting and come back. I could try that maybe, but we'll see how we go. So there's your cheat sheet. It's basically a bunch of screenshots and step-by-step process for your students to give to your students if they're new to Google Classroom to be able to submit things through there. The next thing I want to talk to you about, which I also might be able to get away with without doing a screencast for, is to talk to you a bit about menu boards and how to differentiate. So I'm going to use basically menu boards and a thing called HyperDocs to talk to you about how we can differentiate things. So here's a link to a tic-tac-toe menu board. Now, a menu board basically is something that you use to get your students to ask questions, or not to ask questions, sorry, it's where they can have choice. So what I mean by that, I'm just going to fix my video there. So what I mean by that is in the tic-tac-toe, when you open it, you'll see that the middle square has a star in it, and that's the one that the students have to do. So they have to do what you put in the middle. But otherwise, they're just picking 2 other options to make that straight line for the tic-tac-toe winning. So they might pick the top left corner and the bottom right corner. But in the corners, so in those top left ones that are one color and the bottom right ones which are a different color, you're going to put different activities, and the kids choose one of those activities to complete, and then they choose one of the other activities down the bottom, but they're going to have to do it in a line so that they form that line for a tic-tac-toe. Now, if you want to take your menu board to another level, a menu board can also be done like a actual menu that you get at a restaurant or a cafe. So you might have a list of appetizers that the students would choose from. So to start the lesson, they choose one of the 3 appetizers that you put on your menu board. And then they might move on to a salad or a main course, and they pick from the 3 or 4 choices that you give them there. They then move on to desserts, and they pick another thing from there. And so you're essentially getting them to do activities that relate to your content, but you're giving them choice around how they engage with it or what they create from it, and what they produce at the end. You might then have them share things and give each other feedback, as well as, you know, the relaxing and having coffee at the end of the menu board or something. But it's about just allowing the students to have that choice in what they're doing. And that's really the key thing in menu boards. It's also going to be the key thing in HyperDocs. Now, HyperDocs is something that I use a lot. I really love HyperDocs because they take what is essentially your menu board and they take it to another level. So the way it does that is by building into it really good pedagogy. And so I'm going to share with you a couple of links to some where you can have a look at some examples of HyperDocs and where you can find some templates for HyperDocs. And so if I just very quickly copy these for you, and come back and paste them in. There we go. Hopefully that went to everyone. Yep. So they are links, again, that you can access that will give you, so go from where it says HyperDocs, learn more. So the hyperdocs.co website is a really good website. Ooh. Is someone else sharing their screen right now? So you click on that link, and that would take you to what was just there. So I'm going to try one more time to share my screen. And hopefully it doesn't completely destroy stuff. I might even try just sharing Chrome and see if that's any better. So if I share my Chrome, so if you go to hyperdocs.co, it'll take you to the homepage for these guys. So I'm 3 steps ahead of myself here. So this is their homepage. Just go straight to the find and click templates if you like. Once you're in here, here's some basic templates for you to have a look at. Now, your basic templates, this one, explore, explain, apply, is probably your most simple one. There's your 5 E's as well, which are quite easy. And then there's your basic HyperDoc lesson plan. Let's start with this one. I'm going to click that and it's going to open up. I can already tell that everything is lagging. But this is definitely their most detailed HyperDoc in the sense of how you go through this. So the way it works is that you flow through and under engage. So to engage students at the beginning of a lesson, you insert videos, quotes, or something. So basically you're finding something that's going to hook them into this lesson. And then you give them a chance to explore on their own. So you might provide them a few choices of ways that they might go and have a look on their own to explore this topic. And particularly that's good at the very beginning when you're launching a new unit or launching a new chunk of content. The explain section is not for the students to explain to you, but actually for you to explain to the students, or for them to go somewhere where they're going to get something explained to them. So it might be that they go and watch a YouTube video or something that explains a piece of content. They might go and read a chapter from a novel where they're going to learn a bit more from that novel, and then they're going to do stuff with that. You're then going to give them some instructions around how to apply what they've learned from the explain. And that application, again, you're trying to build in choice here, where they might be able to create 3 or 4 different things. You then have them share it and then reflect, and they're going to give each other feedback and stuff here. I'm going to stop sharing again because I can tell. All right. Was my sound working? Well, the link doesn't work. Which link doesn't work? I think I pasted quite a few in there. I can give you a few more. Was my sound better that time, or was it still really crackly and frustrating? It was good? All right. Excellent. Okay, so the link that I use, so if I go back to, I'll grab the links for HyperDocs. Okay, so learning more about HyperDocs, so hyperdocs.co. is one of those links. I'll just quickly paste that back in here. So hyperdocs.co was one link. It won't really do much. You just type in hyperdocs.co and that'll take you straight there. And then the other links are actually me skipping through a bit for you to all of their resources that they actually have available for you to share, and landing you into a folder. So since my sound is working again, I'm going to share my screen and keep it on the Chrome because that seemed to be what worked. So where it lands you is here into the HyperDoc material. And so here you can see all the templates, but you can also have a look at the lessons by subject. So if I open that up, and let's say I'm a science teacher, that's science lessons. And so here's just a huge collection of ready-made HyperDocs that you can have a look at. And you can see that people are putting in all these links and choices, and some of them even have examples here, which is really cool. So if I open one of these up, let's go with this one, which uses the basic HyperDocs template. And so here you can see the connection and the hook. So click here, check out this. And here they've got choices here. So watch this video, check out the design, watch this, or read over this. And so you could choose to make the kids do all of this or to do some of it. And you can obviously take these and make your own copy. So you won't have access, but you just go here, click File, make your own copy. And when you do that, make sure, see science lessons, that's not where I want it to be. I want to move it. So let's go back out of science lessons into my drive. And then you want to save it in there when you make your copy so that you then can access and edit it. Okay, but that's a great resource for you to be able to access lots of different ways for teaching the content. And the thing about HyperDocs when it comes to being able to help differentiate, so by allowing students to have choice or some kind of voice in what they're doing, you are differentiating the learning for them. By enabling them to work through at their own pace. Okay, and that's something that HyperDocs and menu boards also do, is that students can work through these at their own pace. And that is differentiation as well. And I would always make sure that at the end of one HyperDoc, I have an extension activity for the kids who get there really quickly, so that they can actually go deeper into the learning, or where they can be looking at applying what they just learned to a wider context maybe, and doing some different kind of application in there. But another thing that I might do in my HyperDoc, which I've done before as well, is I might actually have the link at the bottom of the HyperDoc to the next HyperDoc. And so you can actually build these series, and you might use a HyperDoc for a whole week of learning, for example. And so at the end of the week, if they finish that in 3 days and they've still got 2 lessons with you, they can actually click the next link to get the next HyperDoc, and they can start to work through that one as well. And just put the forced copy, and it'll force them to make their own copy, and then they can continue to work through that. And I think it's a really great way to just allow your students to choose to work through at their own pace, but also for you to it frees you up. That's probably one of the other really key things about it, is using a HyperDoc or a menu board, whether it be simple like the tic-tac-toe method or a bit more complex like a HyperDoc. The methodology frees you up as a teacher, because what you've done is you're giving the students what is essentially a student-centered lesson plan. And so you're saying, this is what you're doing first, that's next, and here's a few choices of how you can do those things. And then you then, as the teacher, get to just watch the students work and help them when they need it, answer their questions, and be there. And I use these all the time, not just for remote learning, I use them in my actual classrooms as well, where I can get alongside my kids and go, great, I'm so glad that this is working for you. Or I can go, well, you're struggling with this bit, let me give you a bit more assistance there. Or if they're struggling to find maybe some research around something, I can then do that navigation and give them feedback around what they're actually creating as they're applying it. And I'm not so much needed to just be presenting the content, because that happens from the links in the explain section, which are usually some kind of video, or it doesn't even have to be a link. It could be that they need to read pages 106 to 108 of a textbook to get that learning bit, but then they're going to start to apply that differently as they work their way through everything. And so you might even have read the textbook as one option, watch a video as another option. And so your students then, if they watch the video and didn't quite get it, they could then choose, oh, I'll just have a look at the reading and see if that helps. And then it's just a way to free you up and to allow more student-centered learning, which is really what differentiation is all about. It's about doing things that focus on the student and allow them to do things in terms of choice and working along at their own pace. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing again because I can see a few comments have come in. Okay, how do you access these in your Google Drive? So again, you can make a copy of them. If you don't want to make a copy of them and have them in your Google Drive, what you can do, I'll share my screen one more time here. So go here, share. If you want them in your Google Drive, so here we are in the science lessons. If I just come out of here, and let's say I'm a science teacher, I want these lessons in my drive, right click, and then scroll down, you'll see here, add shortcut to drive. And so if I click that, it will add a shortcut into my drive, and so I add it. And so now what happens is if I go to my drive, there'll be a science lessons folder. Here it is. And you'll see it's a shortcut. And so that is a link that takes me straight to what's inside that folder. Now, please note, these are still not yours. So you cannot edit them yet, that you cannot edit them until you make your own copy. Okay, at this point, they're all set so that everyone has the ability to view the document. But in order to make your own copy, you're going to need to go into the document and select File, Make a Copy. Do not. So what a lot of people will do is they'll click the document, right click, and then they'll just click Make a Copy. If you do that, generally what happens is it makes a copy in the same folder. And so just be careful of that. Sometimes it doesn't, but normally that's what it does. It just creates it here. It depends a bit on what's going on in the background. So that's a way to get it into your drive. Okay, stopping sharing. All right, beautiful, thanks. Dev, sorry, how do we get those HyperDocs materials like you have shared with me? So grab the HyperDocs material. So you can get there through the actual website. So share again. From the HyperDocs, you can get there from here. So if you go to find samples, and then it's got the science, the English, the history. So if you choose, if I'm a maths teacher, I click maths, it'll automatically open up the maths folder. And you'll see these are the maths lessons. And basically what I did is that you see how this pops up like this. So shared with me, HyperDocs material. So all that is actually shared with you. So you go all the way back to here, and here's the HyperDocs materials. And then you'll actually be able to see all the folders. So these are your templates. This is all the different ones. So HyperDoc templates, PD, HyperDoc templates. If you want to learn about PD with HyperDocs, you can do that there. Click here to get your lessons by subject. And there's almost pre-made, ready to go HyperDocs based on subject. Now, note this is a international site, so very much used by Americans. So it's not necessarily going to match specifically to your syllabus, but you can probably quite easily make your own copy and adapt something. And generally, you'll have to adapt the links for things, unless it's a link that's to Canva or something, for example. It's really important that you make sure those links are your own. So test them, because sometimes you can link back to your classroom post that's there, or you might link to a Google form where students submit things to you or answer a few questions for you. If that's not your form, then that student's going to be providing information to another teacher. So make sure that you double check those links before you publish it to your students. Okay, again, I'm going to stop sharing and come back to any questions that I've missed. Okay. Ooh, is there a language folder? That's a good question there. Let me have a quick look for you. Got history, geography, holidays, math, science, reading and writing. It might be something in there. There's some PE ones. World languages, there you go, there is one. So I'll paste this link in for you. I know you can't see what I'm doing right now, but I'm just gonna paste the link in for you. Jasmina? There you go. Oh, language was Mizo, there you go. So I'll make this public so everyone sees the post. There you go. So that's your link to go straight to the languages folder. Okay, so I really want to encourage you to do that. And I actually have I have an online course in my memberships area that's all about how to use HyperDocs well. And so yeah, there is that. And I'm pretty sure that all the videos for that course, so if you want the hours, you'll have to register in the membership so I can actually track who you are and what you've watched. But if you just want to watch the videos, my YouTube channel, teacherspd, or just teacherspd is the YouTube channel, has videos that will walk you through how to use HyperDocs as well. I think there's 5 videos in that series that just talks you through how to create your HyperDoc and what you need to think about as you're creating it, and how to evaluate your HyperDoc to make sure that it's good and going to work really well for your students. Let's scroll back up here, see if I've missed any other questions. How do you create them? So yeah, to create a HyperDoc, make your own copy and then just follow the instructions that are in the basic template. So if you go to the original templates for the HyperDocs, they actually come with instructions for how you use them. And so you're looking at how to engage your students, how to give them a chance to explore things and that kind of stuff as well. So do you have a question, Jacinta? Nope. All right, all good. Okay, now I'm going to go back to Canva because I realized I said I was going to talk about Canva and I didn't quite get there. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go look at Canva and I'm going to talk to you a bit about that. So share this. So Canva, if you don't know what Canva is basically a place where you can access royalty-free images and you can create infographics, you can create social media profiles and posts in there. You can do a whole lot of stuff, and it's basically around images and doing some kind of design with your images. So if I go to templates down the left here, and you'll see if I want a Facebook post, it's actually got the exact right dimensions for the Facebook post or for the Facebook cover, for the flyers. So this is your kind of an A4 flyer. If you're going to put together a presentation, you could use Canva to do that as well. There's card sizes, business cards. They want to create invitations, brochures, posters are here. If they're working on their resume, you could use this. I mean, I would still use something like Google Docs for that, but you can. Infographics are really good. So these are something that tends to be quite popular for people to make, infographics. And so these are just templates that you can then click on, and then the students jump in, or you can jump in and create stuff in there. And then you can download them as PDFs or as images. You could then print them, do all kinds of stuff. And one thing I actually, that Kelly Pfeiffer told me once when I was talking to her about project-based learning stuff, she said that she gets her students to use this quite frequently for her projects, and the students make infographics. But one thing that they do in the infographic is that when they're making it, so if I click on this making and what it looks like on the inside, as they're making the infographic, she gets them to actually create QR codes. So you create your QR code elsewhere. So there's lots and lots of free QR code makers. You could just Google that, and the kids can sign up and easily make a QR code that will link to a specific thing. And she makes them link to the students' videos that just provide more information about what's in the infographic. And so they just click upload. They upload the QR code in here, and then they stick it into this infographic poster, which they then might put up, on the wall across the school or share somewhere publicly. But you can then just scan it with your phone, scan the QR code, and you'll get an extra video that's made by the students who made the infographic, where they're explaining a bit more detail about what's on there. And I think that's just a fantastic thing that you can do there. So this is actually free. So at the moment, if you go to canva.com/education, so I'll chuck that into the chat feature. For some reason I need to stop sharing in order to do that. So there's the bottom one there, where it says canva.com/education. And when you get there, you can actually sign up for free. So you scroll down and it goes, oh, go pro, blah, blah, blah. Just scroll down and it'll tell you what you actually have to do right down the bottom here. So this is what you need to get to, where it says how to register. And so you're just going to fill out a form. Their team will then check it and you'll get an email confirmation. And so I actually went through this process not long ago for Canva and got myself the full pro version for free. And once you've got the pro version for free, what it adds, so you can go down here. So this is my team. And so I can go here. And so I can then add people and add classes. So this is people. There we go. So when I come down here, so I can invite people with a link. I can import my students from Google Classroom. And then here, if I want, I can add them manually, and even I can add teachers into my team. And I think this is really fantastic. So teachers, when they come, can manage the class and create templates for the class to use. But you want to just add teachers. You can add import your students in here, and they can use this now for free, and they get to use the full features for free. So that used to be the case before I went pro. I still use Canva because Canva was great without the pro features, but they had some images and stuff that you would have to pay for, or if you wanted to download kind of video Canva thing that you can make, that was only a pro feature. And so now that's all free as an educator. So I highly encourage you to go and sign up for that and to start thinking through how you could use Canva with your kids. And I already was using Canva with my kids, getting them to make posters or getting them to make infographics or even to make social media posts. Because these days, I know when I was growing up, I kept getting told by teachers to make cardboard posters that would go on walls. And then we shifted into making kids make posters online that they might print out or something, or posters that they don't print out, posters that they just share and submit to you as an assignment. But you can actually make them create the poster or the infographic in such a way that it then is really good for posting on social media. And you can get them to start thinking about doing real sharing of their modern day posters into social media, which I think is really cool. You'll also get this brand kitting and design school aspects of Canva, where you can go through and learn more about Canva and start courses and stuff to learn about it, which I haven't utilized yet. This is something that's still new to me, but I was so excited when I found out about it. I thought I've got to share it. I've got to share it with those other people around me as well. All right, that's Canva. The last thing that I said that I was going to cover is in Classroom. Now, people asked me to talk a bit more about rubrics in here. And so when you're doing a rubric, now this is in the other video, but not quite the same way that I'm going to do it here. I'm just going to click create something. Let's just quickly create an assignment, give it a title, test, go here, test. Okay, give it a due date for tomorrow, be fine. Okay, but then I just want this button so I can add a rubric. So I want to create, so you can reuse them. So if you click that, I'll be able to go back and find my other rubric that I already made previously. So if I click this, there's the one I used previously, but if I don't want to do that, I just cancel that. I don't want that one. I want to make a new one. If you want the scoring, here where you're actually adding points up so that it then goes into their mark book with a score out of 100 or out of whatever the number of points you add are, then you add the points there. If you don't want it, turn it off here. Okay, turn off points. And now you could just be providing some kind of criteria. So it needs a title, so just test. Test down here, the level required, test 1. You can then give a description about it. So test 2, whatever. I'm just doing this so you can see it. And then I'm going to add more of these. And so I can add a whole bunch of them. Okay, let's say I add 5. And then I can add another criteria and add another 5 here. Okay, again, the criteria will need a title. So test 2. And you can give the criteria a proper description here and a proper description down here. And you can essentially take whatever's in your marking criteria that you've created that's on your assignment tasks already and stick them in here as a rubric to be used in your marking. Now, you cannot get this to automatically enter in grades in terms of A to E if you're an English teacher, but you can use it for scoring, or you can use it just for marking on the rubric where they're at. And you could here, right, yeah, this is A, okay? And then give the description for it. And then this is B, and this is the description for it. You could do that. And so that would do it per criteria though. It's then not gonna add up though and give you your end grade from that. So that's a very quick run through of how to do your rubrics from the very beginning. You then just click save, which I probably won't be able to do because everything's missing everything there, and you'll have a rubric that's added to your assessment task. All right, let's discard that. And that is recorded too, so if that was a bit fast, my apologies. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Have a quick look through here for any questions that people have had since my last post. So if you have an account already, do you need to go back in and add pro account? So yes, you do. You have to go back through that process. So I already had an account, and I actually went back to the education page link that I shared with you, that canva.com/education. Fill in that form and they'll apply it to the account you already have. So you don't have to be creating a new account. It can be an existing account and they will then upgrade it once they've had a look. All right, what else? Do you think, do you know anything about the security scale with Canva last year? Or no, I do not know anything about the security scale with Canva. For me, I think you're looking at, I always find it funny when we talk about security scares. What's actually in Canva, for example, is really just their school email addresses and their name. They don't get birth dates. They don't get any of that kind of data in there. And so they're really getting an email that's a limited time email that probably has a very good phishing and spam thing all over it to block people from being able to harass them, etc. So I know it can be scary and that there is data and we should be making sure we're looking after it. And I do encourage you to make sure you're looking after students' data. But these types of things are often not getting a great amount of access into student data. They're not getting access into the larger LMSs or the larger systems that our schools are using with all the real data that we have on the students. So yeah, I would encourage you to not get too worried, because often I think pretty much every online system has had a scare of some kind, either with Canva, with Zoom, which is what we're using at the moment. I've had people who've had scares overseas with Zoom getting hacked and people's privacy and stuff. But I think the information that's in here that people can access really it's my name. It's not really much more than that. So I'm a little bit probably too relaxed with that. Yeah, I don't have any YouTube videos that are exclusively around making rubrics. I probably do need to make them though, because I know in the Introduction to Google Classroom, I made that course before rubrics were introduced. So I've got to add a rubrics video into that course, as well as the tick a box for checking for copyright and all those types of things. So that's all there. So I do need to update that, and that'll probably happen pretty soon, given the number of people that are currently in Google Classroom. But I can probably even pull some bits out of these webinars that I've done over the last few days. Well, we only have about 7 minutes left. And so I do want to just briefly talk to you about, sorry, I just saw a question here from Ashima about the Google Forms. I do have a video, it's a Google Forms webinar video that is on my YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure. And you can access that and have a look at everything about Google Forms there. So just as we conclude today, I do want to thank you guys so much, particularly for those of you who have joined me for all 3 of the webinars. I appreciate that you guys are giving up your time during your holidays and that you are doing this for your students. I know this isn't just for you. No one generally does a lot of learning just because they feel like it makes them feel cool. It's generally and genuinely for your students to help them to have better learning experiences, particularly at this time where they're stuck in isolation and working remotely. So thank you guys so much for coming along. If you are not aware, I'm pretty sure you will be, but if you're not, my membership system is currently on sale. That sale ends on Friday. If you have enjoyed these types of trainings, I have, there's the free Introduction to G Suite course. There is a free Reflecting on Practice course as well. But if you would like to get all of my courses and access all of that, please make sure that you sign up before Friday, because that discount will disappear. Currently, you get $100 off using the COVID-19 code, and that's all actually on the page where you can go and have a look at the memberships. It'll tell you to make sure that you stick in your code. I will just quickly paste in that link for you, so where you can just go and, I need to share feedback form too. Hang on. Halfway through my spiel here, I'll give you my feedback form. So please make sure you complete that feedback form. It'll ask for your NESA number, etc., so that you get your NESA hour. But while you're doing that, just I want to share with you the link for my membership, because I think that it is something that you will benefit from. I just can't find it. I'm just going to have to type it directly. So it's www.teacherspd.net/memberships. Now, if you go there, it'll give you all the details. So currently, between now and Friday, you can get $100 off that, which it's normally $250, so that reduces it down to $150 plus GST, so whatever that adds to it. But the reduction is before the GST. That's why I talk about it in that sense. And if you don't sign up by that's Sunday, that closes, and then next Friday, my membership's actually going to close completely, because I've decided that I've really enjoyed doing these webinars with people, and so I've decided I'm actually going to start doing webinars like this monthly with my members. But in order to do that, I need to basically not be focusing at all on the sales and worrying about new people coming in. I want to really focus on the people who are the members and giving them a lot of value for what they're putting in. So I want to be giving. There's going to be a private Facebook community for people to join. There's going to be monthly webinars, plus there's over 60 hours of NESA accredited professional development that you can do, as well as forums and stuff for sharing things, and a shared Google Drive, which I suspect most of you probably already have access to. So please, I would love for you to join that. Don't miss that. Make sure you sign up for that by Sunday. Now, once you've completed that Google form, I would just thank you so much. And please feel free at this point to leave this webinar if you would like to. If you have other questions for me that you want me to answer, feel free to just chuck those into the chat, and I will do my best to answer those in the last little bit here. But please, that feedback form is how I will get your NESA number. If you also chuck it in the chat, I will check it in there as well in case you don't get to that form. So how do you complete the Google form? Yeah, this happened last time. I'll just copy and paste it, because I know it disappears in the chat as people keep posting in there. So I'll post it in there a few times to make sure that you still can find it. You're all very welcome. Honestly, I love doing this, and I've been blown away by how many of you have shown up. I've done webinars previously, and I've had maybe 10 people come, but this time through, I think 2 days ago on Monday, we had nearly 150 people in that webinar, and then more people then go and watch it afterwards. So thank you guys so much for what you do. You are the people who are on the front line with your students and are massively undervalued by our government at the moment. So I just want to thank you, and I want to give you as much as I can. So please, if you've enjoyed this, I would love for you to also take a moment to leave a review on Facebook or on Google. Just Google Teachers PD, and it'll come up with a little button there where you can review it, or in my Facebook page, you can leave a review there. If you haven't joined the Facebook community yet, please do that. Come on over to the Teachers PD Facebook group. Do make sure that you answer the questions as you are asked to when you request to access that group, because I'm trying to make sure I don't allow people in who aren't teachers. So come along and enjoy what's there, and I hope to provide you with more than what you normally get from a membership for your Teachers Association or with NESA or anything like that. I want to actually give you as much value for money as I can. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to maybe seeing you inside, but if not, I'll send you a follow-up email with the recording of this webinar later today. So I'll just sit here, turn my camera off, turn my sound off, and wait. If anyone has questions, I'll sit here and talk. Please do more webinars. Yeah, I will. I intend on doing monthly ones for my members. That's where I want to really focus my time. But I will probably later in the year do a few more like this again, as we start to look at probably focusing on like evaluating programs, I imagine, which happens a lot more in Term 4.